You've just entered Filbert's Forum, where we peel the onion back and take a lighter look at the workplace.
All right. Okay, Tom. So what we want to do here is we got a few photographs we want to show you now. In each of these photographs, you're going to have to look really carefully, very closely. There is a hidden safety hazard in each of these photographs, and we got to be careful and make sure. See, we're going to test your knowledge to see if you can identify it as if you were on the walk around. All right. So think about this. You're on the walk around, and let's see if you could identify the safety hazard. Nick, let's see the first one.
It's up right there.
All
right. I don't know if I can describe it for our audio listeners just because, well, that kind of could give it away. But there is a safety first sign that is being hung. So what do you think, Tom?
Well, kudos to these folks for thinking safety first. It's a shame they're not performing safety first. But, you see here in this picture, we've got a gentleman who's basically standing on the railings of a staircase. And while that looks like he might have the required 3 points of contact, let's just say those aren't the right 3 points of contact.
There you
go.
All right.
Sits behind him, right?
Ding, ding, ding. You got that one right, Tom. Good job. You're 1 for 1. What else you got, Nick?
Well, we have we have some grinding possibly going on, but with grinding comes, well, you're moving metal around, you're moving things around, so stuff has to go somewhere. What do you see here, Tom?
Well, Nick, this is a OSHA officer's field day for sure. But one of the first things you see is that you got no guard on this grinder. It's spitting out. It's certainly spitting out sparks while someone's trying to catch it in a paper bag. So we got some flammability issues. But even if we're willing to excuse those, our guy who's catching the sparks in the plastic bag should probably be wearing some eye protection, I would think. But he's not taking the effort to put those on.
No, he's not doing that. He's catching sparks. There's no, there's no guard. You got it all right, Tom. You're off for 2 for 2. All right. Now we can see why Ogletree is such a fan of you, Tom. What else we got, Nick? Any more?
Yeah, we have 2 more, so we can go through these quick. But, this is a bridge scene. Apparently we're working on the bridge, but we should probably be working on the employees as well.
Yeah. Look at this one. I could tell the folks in the audience that the bucket of an excavator is not a proper device to be sitting in or working from. It's meant to move earth, not people. And then on top of that, we've got a gentleman who's working on a ladder. He's got 3 points of contact, but the ladder is in a river. Probably not the most stable, secure anchorage point for him, amongst many other things here.
Yeah, and there's a hidden hazard up. If you look along the pillar on the right-hand side, looks like there's a guy on break, like you will often see on a roadside crew. There's 2 guys working and 8 guys on break. But this guy's on break, his feet hanging over the edge. Looks like he's ready to maybe jump or fall off into the river himself.
Yeah, we might have some fall protection issues there as well, right? Nothing right. Securing them to the bridge.
All right. Any others, Nick?
Yeah. And by the way, who needs a water cooler when you have a river? So
that's right.
All right, we have this final one here. I'm not sure that what is happening is what was intended, but this would even be an OSHA problem, probably even in war. So you tell us what was here
in wartime.
Yeah, right. Other than the fact that we have a powered industrial truck, a forklift that's certainly gone off the edge of a loading dock. It seems to be carrying a warhead of some sort. Which probably under OSHA's process safety management standards, probably a big no-no. But let's just say whoever is responsible for this probably needs to be put back in the forklift classroom and taught how to drive.
Yeah, that you can't tell, but that picture came from China, Tom. That's the Chinese military facility there. That's not the United States government warhead. All right.
Yeah, right.
Okay. There you go. You got them all right, Tom. I know those were hard to see, but your trained eye expertise, you found them. Well done. Good job.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to the really meat of the program here. And Tom, we want to really take advantage and spending, the next 10 minutes talking about this new final rule with OSHA as it relates to the walk around. This can create some problems for employers. There's some things we have to be aware of. I'm sure there's going to be some case law that will define our way forward as well. I think, but let's just start with what's the new rule? Bert has told us it was coming. And what's the advice we have to get ourselves oriented with it and maybe get the right controls in place to be prepared should we ever have a problem?
Yeah, so let's start off with what the rule is and what it used to be. So what it currently is that, in a walk around or an OSHA inspection, when OSHA shows up to your site, your employees can have the ability to designate an authorized employee representative to accompany OSHA. Currently, right, that person needs to be an employee, or it needs to be a member of the bargaining union if you have a unionized workforce. Under the new rule, the floodgates sort of open. The guest list, as Nick called it, gets much more expansive. And now it just needs to be any authorized employee representative who has basically relevant knowledge or skill in safety and health. And here's where it gets problematic, or has a skill in communication. That's it. That's in the new rule. And I'll tell you, as a lawyer, we love to parse words. We love to really narrow in on what they mean. And the word communication can mean just about anything, as you well know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So what this does, this new rule, which is set to go into effect May 31st, so the end of next month, what this new rule does is it allows employees who may not have what we typically call an authorized representative at the workplace. It allows them to sort of bring in whomever they want. They
be
could
careful
say,
when you say +1. Bring your own +1, right?
Correct. That is correct. So my mind already starts racing as soon as this rule is starting to be drafted. What about a personal injury attorney? Let's say there was OSHA's there because somebody got hurt. Now we've got a personal injury attorney on site taking pictures, talking to people, or
passing
maybe
out cards.
Right, passing out cards. Or what I think the rule is designed for, might still have an effect, and that is the promotion of union efforts, promotion of organized labor. We all know that this administration has been very supportive of organized labor, has been really sort of pushing them to the forefront. And what we see is that the agencies, OSHA is taking a step out of that playbook as well, and is saying, well, let's get more of these organizers involved, because typically, if they're not actually the representative, the bargain for unit, they're not allowed. But now they could be. So you can imagine a local union sending out their PR person to go through the walk around because they've got a communication skill, and they might be live tweeting or live streaming these things as they happen. Right. These are concerns that many of us on the management side have. Not to mention the fact that the way the statute is written, the OSHA Act, that authorized representative is not defined this way. It's much more limited. So that's the new rule, and that's going to go into effect at the end of next month. And what I can say is, and this is what I've been telling clients all along, is that you do have a lever to pull in this game. You do have a play to make, and that is your constitutional Fourth Amendment right. The Fourth Amendment says you're free from unreasonable searches and seizures, and that applies to businesses as well. So as a business, you want to think of yourself as an individual. So if OSHA comes to your house, or let's say, put a different example, let's say the police come to your house and say, we want to come in. Your first instinct should probably be, do you have a warrant?
Right.
I'm telling clients, you might want to rethink that now and have that same approach with OSHA. That's your right. You can refuse entry and require the government to seek a warrant, and to get a warrant to allow them to come in. And part of this is, that is a lever to pull. It's sometimes a challenge to do that because it takes a little gumption to do so. And many people see a government agency come up to your doorstep, flash their badge, and say, "Hey, I'm from OSHA. I want to come in." And our instinct a lot of times is to say, "Sure, come in, sit down. How can I be hospitable?" Because we don't want to make them mad. We don't want to make this worse than it already is. But we might want to start rethinking that approach depending on who's with them.
So it's been a while since I've been a leader of safety, but I did used to do that for a pretty maybe 10 years of my career. I was focused specifically on safety management and leadership. And we would always have, reviews once a year of our policy. If OSHA shows up at the door, what are we going to do? This is with the management, personnel, leadership. So we were prepared, right? And we had a decision tree of when we would say, yes, let's go see what you came here to see, or no, we want to, require you to get a warrant to come in. We want to call our legal support and so forth. And I think that's probably the first step for employers is to know when they want to say yes or no, and how do they make that decision? What are the factors that would allow you to make that decision? I think I'm going to be more likely to say no when there's an additional third party there who I may understand or not understand the intention of that third party. That's going to be the trick. If it's, I'm in the middle of a union campaign, and almost every union campaign I know has had complaints that went to OSHA, and OSHA shows up the door, and that's part of what you're managing. And now it's, the union boss who wants to come in, right? That's going to be a certain position. It's a stranger. It's a plaintiff's lawyer. It's a family member who's involved with safety. It's the news media who has an expertise in communication, would love to be a part of this. That's when you're going to want to understand when to say no.
That's right. And Phil, one thing that you said there is, I can't emphasize it enough, is to have a plan in place. Yeah. Know what you're going to do before they even get there. And like you said, some of this is on the fly. You have to read the situation, who's there, who's not there. And it governs how you're going to act at, but know what to do, because it's going to happen quickly. And a lot of times, you're putting people in an uncomfortable situation that they're just not typically handling. But if you know what to do and know who to call and know who to get involved, that really eases the stress of those environments. So yeah, I would start revisiting those OSHA visit plans that people have in place. If you don't have one, think about getting one in place, and put this added factor in. What happens if somebody from outside the agency or outside our organization shows up?
Yeah, and I know this is something that your firm does. This is something that AIM does. It can reach out to you, Tom, if they wanted to, or AIM. What's your email, Tom, if someone wanted to reach out to you and get some assistance?
Yeah, sure. My email is my name, thomas.chibnall@ogletree.com. And yeah, this is something we do. Just this week I go on site when OSHA shows up. I'd show up, help the client out, walk through the process with them. And it's okay. And I will tell everybody, it's okay to have a lawyer there. It's okay to protect your rights. And OSHA doesn't think twice about it. I mean, they understand it. It's certainly not it's not confrontational. It's mostly they understand why you're there. And they don't think less of you for having your lawyer there, or even some other representative that you want. So, yeah,
I think that just says to me, it's a signal that you know what you're doing and you know why you want to do it. I got a couple questions. I want to get to the word cloud as well, Tom. If you can give me just a minute. First of all, are anywhere in the regulations do employees have the right to bring more than one representative, or is it a single representative?
So it's the way it's written, it's just singular, but the way the regulation's written, the rule, it gives all sorts of discretion to the compliance safety health officer, the actual OSHA inspector there. So the OSHA inspector might say, well, we've got a unionized workforce, so we need the union here. They're already authorized, but you know what? They want to bring they want to have a PR person, or they want to bring an outside safety person in. Those people are not going to be part of that. And if anybody who's spent time in a kitchen will know, the more cooks you have in the kitchen, the harder it is to get things done. Yeah. And sometimes the worse the dinner is that you serve. And that's the kind of strategy and the mindset I have, is that the more people involved in this, the messier it gets. And I can tell you from experience, when I've had more people involved in those walk around activities, the inclination for the compliance officer to go outside of the scope of whatever he's there for is much, much greater. In large part because you have multiple people looking at different things. And while you might be there to talk about, forklift training, you might have somebody whispering in their ear, oh, they've got exposed electrical panels here. Let's go look at those. And now the compliance officer wants to go look at that. So more people involved, the harder this gets. But the regulation is written, it's designed for one authorized representative, but the discretion it gives to the compliance officer really sort of swallows that.
Yeah, that's the scary part, right? Compliance officers are going to not want to be called in and embarrassed because they made the wrong decision. The fail-safe decision for them is to say, sure, bring them in.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
their fail-safe.
Yeah, and going back
I
to
would
our
assume
comment,
that's what you're going to get.
Yep, that's right. And going back to our previous comment you made about unionized workforce, if somebody from the union comes in or even wants to come in, and they get denied, well, they have recourse to take action about that. They've got public communications, public relations folks who can say, hey, we were denied access. Look at this employer not doing this. And it doesn't have to be a union. It could be anybody doing that. So that's just an example of, kind of the pitfalls of this rule.
I haven't met a union boss yet that's not an expert in safety. All right. So, hey, let's get to the word cloud real quick before we go here. What do we got here, Nick? Can you tee us up?
Yeah, we have a lot of good, across the board, a lot of good letters here, or words. Letters make up words. So we have necessary. That's one that just came in. Agenda. These are words that come to mind when envisioning a third party being present at a government inspection. Neutral, nervous, disruptive, assistance, annoying, yikes, frivolous, and oversight. So those are words that come to mind.
The frivolous one is it? That's an interesting response. The frivolous response to me. I don't think this is going to be frivolous. This is going to be intentional, purposeful. Maybe I can agree with agenda for sure.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the words that jump off the page to me that I see all the time are disruptive and nervous. People get nervous, and it is disruptive. It is disruptive, and that's one thing not to forget about, because you have a right not to have your business be completely interrupted, like shut down production or whatever you're doing. So yeah, those are words I hear a lot: nervous and disruptive.
All right, there you've heard it from Chibs. That's his hockey name as we know him. So we're happy to have you on the program today, Tom. Thank you for stepping in.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your colleagues. Forward our invites. Share the link, aimea.org/thisweekatwork, or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment, like LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere you are. And you can be part of the show. Send your questions and comments anytime to info@thisweek.work. We'll see you next week, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, when we discuss what's happening this week at work.